little bit of adversity now, and I think greatness is always defined by how you respond when times are tough.
Curling now enters the Sports Weekend spotlight.
Mike, full marks for Switzerland in that victory over Gushu.
Definitely. I think Colleen hit it on the head there, that second shot in the second end really was the difference. It was a 3-point swing, and I disagree with Colleen's agreement with the call in just a little bit, just with the weight. I don't think they thought it was missable. That's why they threw that kind of weight. They kind of looked, they always look at that, can it catch over here, catch over there? And I don't think they thought they could miss it. And that's why they threw that. It seemed like a reckless weight there, didn't think it through. And they could have just played a nose hit, don't forget, to get to as well. That was pretty easy.
Right.
So I think they just made it a little more complicated than they needed to. But as you said, there was Switzerland was pretty much flawless after that. You can't get two down. I don't know what Brad Gushu's stats are when he's two ahead early in the game, but he's winning 90% of the time, I'm sure. And Benoit Schwartz and Peter de Cruz, much the same. So one little mistake can be the difference, and it doesn't take much with the top teams.
To the ageless Bruce, as you can see the comment at the bottom of the screen. Bruce.
Well, I just want to say thank you, Stephanie. That's all I got tonight. That's a wonderful. Wow. I'm just going to let that settle in, and I might not even show up for the game. That's incredible.
She didn't say what age.
I think we all knew this is going to be tough. It's going to be tough for both teams. These fields are really good. I think to think they'd waltz through undefeated was a ridiculous assumption. So a little bit of adversity now, and I think greatness is always defined by how you respond when times are tough. And so you have two legendary Canadian skips who have been here many times before. I fully expect a rebound. It's unfortunate that rebound has to come immediately, though, against Sweden. That's all I'll say there. That's a tough rebound. So, yeah, I would say way too early for panic, but a little concern. I think both of those games were winnable, and they let them get away.
Mm.
And Joanne, what were you seeing on the ice? And especially, having played against these teams so recently at the last Olympics, especially.
You're muted, Joe.
Every time. My God. Maybe by the end I'll get it figured out. I think for the Jones team, Team Fujisawa, they played almost a flawless game. They had a few open takeouts that they randomly missed that let Jones claw their way back in. But the positive for them is that they weren't at their sharpest, and they had a chance in the 10th end to make it really interesting and just couldn't quite capitalize. So there were some mistakes throughout. There was a couple of missed sweeps. It looks like it's a little bit tricky out there with the paths and the patchiness. So I think that they probably had a good debrief in talking about how they need to throw the rock on those peels, try to puzzle out the draw weight. And like we said, it's early in the week. No one's going to go undefeated in this thing. And this team is super resilient. Whenever I've been at a Bonspiel and I see them end up in the C event early, like you still know they're going to make the playoffs. It's never even a doubt. They're great at grinding their way back in. And we saw that in that game today. They could have easily just kind of given up, but it went the full 10 ends, and it could have been interesting in that last end as well.
Mm-hmm. By the way, Joanne, you're allowed to make a mistake in broadcasting, but to the mute button, forgiven. Not nursing, you can't. Okay, just But Mike, Sweden's Anna Hasselborg hasn't. She dropped her opener, so she's maybe feeling pressure or.
Well, same. I don't think they're any more happy about playing Canada with one loss than Canada is about playing them. So I think always better to escape the losses. But look at that logjam at 1-1. So. Switzerland and the USA. Switzerland's looked very good, to be fair, and the US is. I think they've beaten China, ROC, and Denmark. So they kind of had a slow, easy. If any of the games are easy, they kind of had the easiest schedule out of the gate. So they've got a long road ahead. They've got to run the gauntlet now through all the top teams in the world. And Canada and Canada and Sweden, I said they're equally displeased with losing a game, but you just kind of have to take advantage of any mistakes you get. Both teams are going to be playing very tough, very hungry, so it should be a great battle.
I don't know who wants to jump in on this. I know we've talked so much about rock placement in mixed doubles and getting that rock in the right place early in the end. Yesterday, it just felt like Canada was chasing almost every end. Was that the sense you guys were getting as well? And obviously that has to change. Joe?
Yeah, I can only assume that it was tricky out there. Like there must have been just some speeds where the paths were just a little bit surprising. One thing I noticed with Team Gushu, though, was that they weren't communicating the same way we saw in the first two games. The first two games, they were, we need this back to hog split and this hog to hog, and it feels like this compared to draw for hammer. And I just didn't hear that conversation. Now, perhaps it wasn't making its way through the mics, but it just seemed a little bit quieter out there. And when it gets tricky, it's easy to kind of resort to that because you don't know. Right. But the only way you're going to be able to puzzle it out is if you share all the information and just try to claw your way into it and figure it out. We saw draw weight struggles in both of those games and for both teams. So knowing that it's going to be tricky, knowing you're going to have some misses, but it's finishing the game strong and figuring it out by the end of the game is what's going to make the difference.
It is always funny that the nature of the beast is the more you struggle, the quieter you get, and the more each of you becomes a little more of an individual as you try to figure out what your woes are. But Bruce, how does this, we know that Gushu loves the big moment, the big crowd. Jennifer loves the big moment when she made that great shot in the second end. You know, she did that fist pump to no applause. Do you think that factors in that two of our greatest teams are used to playing in front of, you know, big houses? I mean, all the curlers are facing sort of the quietness of this place, but the energy. I'm just wondering if you sense some of that.
If you're talking about those two in particular, I think both would tell you that as kids, each was really shy and reserved. And I think they come out of their shells in front of crowds. Gushu absolutely loves it. And Jennifer's got a little bit of ham in her too, if you know what I mean. She likes to play to the folks in the stands. So yeah, I'm sure they'd love to have a big full house that's responding to every. But they will figure it out. A bit of good news from today, from a curling history point of view. The game's been around a long time, and today Mike coined a new phrase for a shot. Benoit Schwartz throws the rock so hard that his shirt flaps. So if you throw it that hard from this point forward, it's officially called the shirt flapper. I got to credit Mike because that's a bit of curling history made today.
Well, yeah, you know. Trademark, thank you.
Congratulations.
Well,
that's usually when I get the producer saying, "You know, you're on television, right?" Yeah.
Well, speaking of coining new curling phrases and terminology, we're going to get Craig McMorris to call Jennifer Jones' shot to bodies in 2005 and Gushu's draw to win the Brier in 2017. So, Bruce, I expect there to be more new curling phrases coined today.
Yeah, please send me whatever he does. I need all the help I can get, and I'll steal. I will liberally steal with no problem.
And the Canadians are hoping to steal in both games against Sweden today. Have a great call. Both games so big, and I can't wait to watch you all guide us through.